We are starting chapter 6. And hold on, I gotta switch up my colors. I use a lot of colors, guys. I'm sorry if that bothers you. Is anyone colorblind in here? They're not? So there are 7 properties of exponents. You have learned these. These are not new to you, but it's probably been a while since you've worked with them. So we're going to go through the 7. If you have any questions, let me know, but they should be vaguely familiar, or maybe very familiar if these come easy to you. If you take a number to the 0 power, what do you get? 1, always, right? So if I take 5 to the 0 power, it's 1. If I take I to the 0 power, it's 1, right? Anything to the 0 power, you will get 1. Second property, if you have a to the mth, that's a weird thing to say, a to the m power times a to the nth power. Does anyone know what you do with that m and n? You add them, okay? So in this situation, you're going to take a to the m plus n, okay? You can kind of think of it this way. If you have 2 to the 3rd power times 2 to the 4th power, think about what 2 to the 3rd power is. It's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 to the 4th power, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That is 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So 2 to the 7th power. Okay, so if you don't remember this, you can always just plug in numbers and think about what does that look like, right? That's what that one would look like. All right, third one. This one is with division. So if I have a to the m over a to the n, do you remember what you do with that? This one's subtraction. So this would be a to the m minus n. Okay. Oh, are you so excited about this? I'm so excited. I love this stuff. I love it. Makes me happy. Okay, fourth one. What if we have this set up? So a to the m, and we take that expression to the nth power. Do you know what you do with that one? Now you multiply, okay? So notice the difference. Number 2 over here, you had 2 bases of a. We add those together. If you have the same base and you take it to the nth power, now you multiply them. So this is going to be a to the mn, m times n. Okay. All right. Next one, 5th property. This one, if I have a times b to the m power, this one looks a lot like the distributive property in how we set it up. So this m power has to go to both of our variables. So this is going to be a to the m times b to the m. Okay, so it's kind of like you're distributing that m to both or all, it's not always both, of your terms or your numbers. 6th one. So this one, now you have division, but that whole thing is taken to the m power. And again, it's kind of like distributive property. You take it to both of your terms. So this is going to be a to the m over b to the m. Okay. Move over here a little bit. Number 7. Okay, so if this one starts as a to the negative m power, Now, when we're talking powers, we don't like negatives. We don't want negative exponents at all, okay? So to simplify with negative exponents, does anyone remember what you do with this? You do 1 over, right? So it's kind of like you're taking the reciprocal, you're flipping. So this 1 is going to replace our a because there's nothing there otherwise. And we'll put a to the positive m down below, okay? I think Mrs. Price always says it like your m is unhappy, right? He's negative up top, so make him happy and move him to the bottom. If he's on the bottom and he's unhappy on the bottom, you need to move him to the top. I don't know. You can think of it that way if you want. So we would say, like, for instance, 3 to the negative 1 power would be 1 over 3 to the first power, which is just 1 over 3, okay? So take the negative out of there, move your number to the bottom, or vice versa, and move it up to the top. One thing to be careful with, this is not the same as, a lot of times people think, like you have a negative 3, and they go, oh, that equals 1/3, because you're seeing the negative, and then you take the reciprocal. Those are not the same thing, right? Don't change a negative 3 to a 1/3. For some reason, people's brains just want to do that. It's not right, okay? So just be careful with this, that you don't take a negative number. It's if it's a negative exponent that you can do that, okay? Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to walk you through these 15, or you're going to walk me through these 15. And then your homework is just more of these types of problems, just a good little review to get your brain back in this mode, because you haven't done this stuff for a long time. So let's start with number 1 here. When you have numbers and variables, you want to just separate them and do the numbers and do the variables, okay? So we're going to take the numbers first. What does that become? 15. You're multiplying, right? This is multiplication. People are so used to taking these, and yes, you add the exponents, but the problem is multiplication. So 3 times 5 is 15. A lot of you are going to be tempted to call that 8. Just be careful that you multiply, okay? This next part then, you have x to the 9th times x to the negative 2nd. What is that? X to the 7th. You're going to go 9 plus negative 2 is x to the 7th. So this would be your answer, okay? All right, how about number 2? It's p to the negative 5th times p to the 2nd. What do you get? What's your first step there? P to the negative 3rd, right? We're going to add those together. So negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. And then what does p to the negative 3rd become? 1 over p to the 3rd. Okay, so this would be your answer there. All right, number 3. 12r to the negative 8th divided by 4r to the negative 6th. What would you do first? Do the numbers first. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. Now, notice your 3 now is what number? A numerator or a denominator? It's a numerator, right? So you have a 3. Then you have r to the negative 8th over r to the negative 6th. What do I do with those two numbers? Subtract them. And here's where you have to be careful. Negative 8 minus a negative 6 is what? Negative 2, right? It's plus a positive. So negative 8 plus 6, essentially, is a negative 2. So you have 3r to the negative 2nd. What does that become? What? No. 3 over r squared. So here's where you have to be careful. This negative 2 is not associated with a 3, right? This is 3 and r to the negative 2nd. So your 3 stays on top, your r goes to the bottom. So it's 3 over r squared. Okay? Be careful with that. It's easy to try to lump them together. They are not lumped. Okay? They are separate things. All right, number 4, x to the negative second times x to the negative fifth. What do you get? First step would be x to the negative seventh, and that is what? 1 over x to the seventh. Good. Number 5. Here's one of those situations where I said be careful on that seventh thing. You have a negative 5. It's not 5 to the negative something power. It's just a negative 5. So that's a numerator. Okay, that's just a negative 5. This becomes what? R squared, right? It's r to the negative third. Negative 3 minus a negative 5 is a positive 2. So you have r to the second power on top, and that is your final answer. Okay. This one you have a couple options. What's p to the 0 power? 1. So you could turn it into a 1 right away, or you could do the subtraction right away. So 0 minus a negative 3 is 3. So this is actually what? P to the third power. Right. If you think of it as 1 over p to the negative third, then that p to the negative third is going to move up, and you're just going to get p to the third. So you can do it either way. It's whatever one makes more sense to you. All right, number 7. So you have a base 2 on all of this. I would start here. 2 to the 8th times 2 to the negative 6th is what? Two squared, right? 2 to the second power. Okay, over 2 to the second power. Now you can think of this as a number divided by itself is always 1, right? Or you can think of it as the subtraction here. 2 minus 2 is 0, so this is like 2 to the 0 power, which is 1. Okay. All right, number 8 switches it up a little bit. What do we have to do there? Right, so 2 to the 4th power and q to the 4th power. What's 2 to the 4th power? 16. Q to the 4th we can't do anything with. There's no negative, so we're going to leave it where it is. So 16q to the 4th for that one. All right, number 9. Okay, so your calculator. If we're kind of doing that distributive property again, right? This is negative 3 to the 3rd power and y to the 3rd power. This one works out either way because it's an odd power. But if this was the 4th power and you said negative 3 to the 4th power, if you plug that into your calculator without parentheses, your calculator is going to tell you the wrong thing. Make sure that you're putting parentheses around a number and then taking it to the power if that's how the problem's written, okay? Because if this was negative 3 to the 2nd power, for instance, your calculator, if you just go negative 3 to the 2nd power, it tells you it's negative 9, and it is not negative 9, okay? Fortunately, with an odd number, it's going to work out either way. So, but anyway, this would be negative 3 to the 3rd power is what? A negative 27, and then you have y to the 3rd power, and that is your answer. All right, number 10. Whoops. What do you do? Right, that 3 needs to go to both of these, so negative 5 to the 3rd and s to the 3rd. What's negative 5 to the 3rd? Negative 125. Again, your calculator will do that for you. So if you don't know that off the top of your head, plug it into your calculator. And then s to the 3rd on the bottom, and that would be your answer. All right, number 11. couple ways you could think about this. Because the whole thing is taken to the negative second power, you can just right off the bat do 1 over, and then it'll be negative 3m to the positive second power, okay? What do you get on bottom then? What's your denominator going to be? What's negative 3 squared? Positive 9, okay? That's where you got to make sure you put the parentheses in. So a positive 9 and then m squared, and that would be your answer. All right, number 12. What do you do with that? You're going to distribute that 5 to both. So 2 to the 5th power, and then times d to what power? 15. You multiply them, right? When it's a power to a power, you multiply. So that's to the 15th. What's 2 to the 5th power? 32, right? So this is 32d to the 15th. Okay. 3 more. Oh my goodness. Okay, number 13. When you have this whole thing to the negative 5th power, I always just flip it right off the bat. You're welcome to distribute that negative 5 right off the bat if that makes more sense to you. They're both correct. So it's just whatever makes more sense in your brain. I just like to get rid of the negatives. So I would put 2 to the positive 5th power on top, and then y to what power? Y to the 20th power. If you need a simpler breakdown, you're doing this, right? Flip it over. We'll get rid of the negative, so it's all just to the 5th power. Then it's 2 to the 5th, y to the 20th. And 2 to the 5th power is 32. Y to the 20th we can't do anything with, so it's just going to stay put like that. And that would be your answer. Is this all coming back? Not exactly. Hopefully it will. Okay, this one, you have 2 to the 2nd to the 4th, right? So that's 2 to the what? 2 to the 8th power. You have x to the 4th would be x to the 16th power. And then y to the negative 2nd to the 4th is y to the negative 8 over z to the 3rd. 2 to the 8th, you need to simplify. That is 256. What else needs to change here? Oh, sorry. Yes. Z to the 12th. Good job. My bad. You got to distribute this here. What else needs to change here? The negative 8. You just got to get that negative out of there. So that's going to go x to the 16th on top, but then the y to the negative 8 is going to be y to the positive 8 on bottom, and z to the 12th is going to stay on bottom because that's positive, and that would be your answer. Okay. Last one. Here we go. Excuse me. Okay, so for this one, I would probably, you have options again. There's so many options. Isn't math beautiful? Options. Always options with math. You could do 1 over all of it to the 2nd power and get rid of the negative right off the bat. But because these exponents are negative already, I would actually not do it that way because it's going to make them positive when you multiply them, right? So yes, this one will work that way, but we'll just write it out like this for now. Okay, so this is negative 3 to the negative 2nd power, right? Then here, when you multiply those, negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. So that would be a to the 4th power. And then multiply these, that would be b to the what? 6th, right? Makes it positive. So the only one that's negative still is that first one, which means that's moving where? to the bottom, and what number is it? 9. So you're going to do a to the 4th, b to the 6th, over 9. Okay. Any questions on those? All right. That's pretty much the